Joining us now is Grace Reilly. Grace is a Gen Z conservative advocate with the goal of reaching her generation for conservative values and truth. She is a cultural commentator and an analyst with Restoration of America. Grace, thanks for joining Sunday the Road Forward. It is so good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to join you this morning.
Well, what I appreciate so much is, Grace, you're a representative of this next generation. It's the very generation that many people are trying to reach, whether you're in ministry and you're a pastor, you're looking at reaching your generation. If you're a leader of some conservative organization or coalition, you're trying to reach the next generation. If you're a grandmother or grandfather, you have grandchildren that are Grace's age, and so it's an encouragement, Grace, to see you out there boldly talking about truthful things, hard things, I think, for some, but really important matters. And one of the things that I think people are wondering about in the wake of this last election, going all the way back to November, there were quite a few Gen Z that actually voted in support of President Trump. Male in particular, Gen Z voters who were voting conservative for the first time, bucking and reversing a trend that had been happening. There's been steep and sharp decline, and of course, liberal and socialistic policies, values that are on the rise all across the United States. Certainly when you think about the LGBT movement. But this trend was sort of bucked back in November. What do you make of all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to look at when we consider Gen Z. And this past election definitely proved a lot of things wrong. You know, we've always heard that the younger generation has to lean more left. That's just the way it is. And we should basically give up and accept that. But this past election proved that wrong when Gen Z went for Trump. Now, that being said, I think Gen Z definitely, as they're coming into adulthood, have taken issues related to the economy a lot more seriously because they had to experience the economic problems that came with Democrat policies under the Biden administration. Mm-hmm. So they were voting for a new hope, you know, and I can relate to that. I want to be able to afford a house someday. So I was looking for my best chance at doing that. And so many in my generation were as well. But another thing to consider is new polling also shows that Gen Z is pretty low when it comes to patriotism. And this was really fascinating to me. And I think shows that even though it's great to see Gen Z vote for conservatives back in 2024, it doesn't mean that that's a definite hardline future pathway for young people. Mm-hmm. Because in a new Gallup poll, it showed that just 36% of Democrats were proud to be American, and a large driver of that number was actually Gen Z dragging it down. And I think what we should consider with this is, I think that so many in Gen Z, you know, we've grown up in the current age in America where we have so much freedom and so many blessings that we almost don't know what to do with all of it. Mm. And what they say about good times and weak men and so everything like that. And it's very clear that Gen Z seems to not realize how great we have it, even amongst even just amongst all of these different issues over the years. We've seen them kind of go back and forth. So with that being considered, Gen Z should really reunite around how grateful they should be to be American.
Yeah, if you point out a really important point, and this is even with kind of the fractious things that are happening with Elon Musk currently and Republicans, and he's trying to almost invent his own party, the America Party. It's the economic concerns. The average age, I just had a conversation recently with Charlie Kirk, the average age of a first-time home buyer is now in the mid to late 30s, which is absolutely stunning when you think about where we were as a country just a few decades ago. The average age of a first-time home buyer used to always be in the 20s, sometimes mid to late, but always in that first decade of adulthood. But now that trend is changing. Why is that important? Because a long time ago, Grace, when this country was founded, you had to be a landholder, to vote. And then there was a time in which, well, you need to be a taxpayer to vote. And then, something has changed where people that are making arguments for socialism and down with capitalism, down with America, they are preying upon the grievances of a generation that is not realizing and cannot afford that American dream. And part of that is having a place to call home, a place that's your own, and a place you're not renting from. And I think that is contributing to the decline, the steep and stark decline of this next generation not loving the country they live in.
Yeah, I think that we grew up thinking that we would easily have what our parents did, which was being able to afford a house. I certainly never thought it was going to be something so challenging that almost, looks seemingly impossible, I think, for young people, just looking at the prices and the way that our economy has gone now. So I think that that's incredibly significant. And I think, too, on the topic of socialism that you mentioned, there are young people that seem to lean in that direction. I would argue that if more young people truly understood what socialism was and the ways that it would further hurt their opportunity, freedoms, liberties, and the economy in the United States, they wouldn't support it. And I think so many young people, a lot because of the decline of the education system, don't truly understand what socialism is. And hopefully, we as patriots can continue to spread the message about how detrimental it is, especially when we see things like what's going on in New York, because that's truly what young people need to wake up to, because we're the present and future of this country. And it's so important that we understand things like basic economics and the types of policies that will really propel our country forward into future success.
Yes, I can't help, and we need to talk about this, but to notice that under Tom Homan, our borders, and obviously President Trump's administration and his border policies, illegal crossings across the southern border are at an all-time low. There's a lot of success that's being had right now, but this is a concern for your generation as well. When we think about human sex trafficking, we think about unaccompanied minors, when you think about that are crossing the border under the Biden administration, when we think about overdoses of fentanyl for drugs that are being illegally trafficked across the southern border, this is killing your generation. And we think about the young lives of women that were tragically taken by illegal immigrants, Lake and Reilly being one among many, many others that became symbolic of a movement that was trying to sort of restore law and order and peace and to shut down that border. How are you taking this moment in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that it's astonishing to see the amount of success that the Trump administration has had when it comes to the border. As you mentioned, June is the lowest recorded southern border crossings ever. And in addition to this, there have been down months all throughout this year. I mean, in June, it was just 6,000 crossings total for the entire month, where that was the amount per day sometimes under the Biden administration. So it definitely is a new era of law and order. And for young people, I think that it really does hit home. It really hits home for all Americans, because someone like Lake and Riley was my age when she was attacked and brutally murdered by an illegal alien. And that's the sort of thing that happened, as you said, unfortunately, across the country. And even Restoration of America, the company that I work for, did a website called illegalienscrimes.com, so illegaliencrimes.com, just to say it more clearly, where we highlighted each state and the different crimes that were going on in those states by illegal aliens other than the crime of crossing the border. And that showed Americans that this is a problem that hits close to home for everyone. It's not just something that was impacting border states. And to hit on the human trafficking point as well, I think something that is largely forgotten and not talked about enough is the fact that it's making people who are coming to our country safer to have law and order at the border as well. Because having order and making sure that we're not enabling or encouraging illegal crossings actually tightens up the system, where there's less trafficking, where we're not having hundreds and thousands of children just go missing, which is what happened under the Biden administration. So this order actually makes everyone safer, both Americans and people who are trying to enter into our country. And there's no question that we should have a legal law and order process. And that's something that Gen Z should get behind because it really is common sense. It puts America first, and it also makes us able to help people who really need it.
I appreciate what you just said there. It is America first, and it does help the people who need it. We'll leave it there. Grace, Reilly, thank you so much for joining us on Sunday, The Road Forward.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Tim Clinton, and you know how important this is. It's my phone. It's my lifeline. It connects me with loved ones and business throughout the day, keeps me informed about the world around us. And that's why my cell service and data, they're so important to me. They have to be reliable, safe, secure, and that's why I use Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is leading the way as America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. And you can enjoy nationwide coverage with access to all 3 major U.S. networks. That's right. Most importantly, when you switch to Patriot Mobile, you'll be supporting faith, family, and freedom. That's right. The folks at Patriot, they've got 4 core values centered on defending God and country and supporting our military and the sanctity of life. I appreciate that. Switching, it's easy. Keep your number and phone, or you can upgrade. Make the move and defend your values without sacrificing quality or service. All you have to do is visit patriotmobile.com. Again, that's patriotmobile.com/road forward. Or you can call 972-972-PATRIOT. That's 972-PATRIOT. You get a free month with the promo code Road Forward. Let me repeat that. If you use the code Road Forward, you're going to receive a free month of service. Hey, everybody can use that. The information is right there on your screen. Visit again, patriotmobile.com/road forward or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of cellular service with the promo code Road Forward. Patriot Mobile's prices are very competitive with plans starting as low as $26. That's $26. A terrific offer from a great company that shares our values and standing with us for such a time as this.
For more encouragement and to stay connected, follow Dr. Tim Clinton on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We love being a part of your life.